Hello, friends. I'm the Reverend Terry Peterson, minister of St. John's in Guruk. Today is Wednesday, the 3rd of March, the 13th day in the season of Lent. So we are here for object number 13 of Faith in 40 Objects. And today we are looking at artwork. So most of us have some form of art in our houses. It might be a painting, it might be photographs, it might be a sculpture or a statue of some kind. So I've got a couple of different things here to show you. So this painting is on papyrus and is of a sort of medieval scene from Cairo. And I purchased this painting from an artist when I was living in Egypt. And I love it because of the color and the sort of vibrancy, even though it's not a crowded scene. It reminds me of what sort of Cairo life was like, though of course I lived there during a time of cars and things, but much of the architecture still looks like this. And there were indeed still donkeys and camels in the streets, even 15 years ago. So I love the architectural detail and the people and what they're doing, and it just reminds me of what the feel of some of the old parts of Cairo are like. But then down here, I've also got a cross that's from Guatemala, I think, or Honduras. I'm pretty sure it's Guatemala, full of life scenes and sort of offering all of life to Jesus. I've got a nativity that is carved out of stone. And then I have this little panda I'm pretty sure my grandma told me is carved from a macadamia nut. It's from Hawaii. I've got this cross, which you may have seen in evening prayer before, a replica of the Drumcliff High Cross, which of course the original has lots of carving on it. And then I even have an upcycled lamp. So this was a bottle that's been painted and bedazzled a little bit to become a beautiful source of light for my sitting room, covered in a lovely thistle here that perfectly matches my wall. So whatever form of art you might have in your house, that's our object for today. And the beauty of artwork is that it opens our minds to something else, right? It shows us something beautiful. And there's this moment in one of Paul's letters that I'm sure I will reference again in this season, where he says that we are to think about things that are good and lovely and gracious. And so surrounding ourselves with beautiful things is one way to do that. But you might be thinking to yourself, well, I can't afford real art, which is true for many of us, real art by a real artist, which is a category that we don't need to go into today, but suffice it to say, most people are capable of making something beautiful. Whether you want to hang it on your wall is, of course, up to your own taste, but art is in the eye of the beholder. And remember, we are made in the image of a God who is a creator. So when it says in Genesis that God made humankind in God's own image, that implies that God also gave us those same creative gifts. How we choose to use them is up to us, but that gift is in all of us. And one way we can bring it out is by surrounding ourselves with beautiful things. So the text I want to read you today is one you might not have heard before. It's a little bit obscure. It's from the book of Exodus, chapter 35. And this is when the people are in the wilderness and Moses calls them to bring an offering to construct a tabernacle, which is going to be a sort of roving temple where God will travel in this holy tent with them. And it says, starting at verse 25. All the skillful women spun with their hands and brought what they had spun in blue and purple and crimson yarns and fine linen. All the women whose hearts moved them to use their skill spun the goat's hair. And the leaders brought onyx stones and gems to be set in the ephod and the breastpiece, and spices and oil for the light, and for the anointing oil, and for the fragrant incense. All the Israelite men and women whose hearts made them willing to bring anything for the work that the Lord had commanded by Moses to be done, brought it as a free will offering to the Lord. So there's the offering part. Well, part of the offering part. And then the story continues with the calling by name of two men called Bezalel, the son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, who was filled with the divine spirit, with skill, intelligence, and knowledge in every kind of craft, to devise artistic designs, to work in gold, silver, and bronze, in cutting stones for setting, and in carving wood, in every kind of craft. And the Spirit inspired him to teach both Bezalel and Aholiab, son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan, who was filled with the skill to do every kind of work done by an artisan or by a designer or by an embroiderer in blue, purple, and crimson yarns and fine linen, or by a weaver, by any sort of artisan or skilled designer. So these people take the offerings of whatever the Israelites had on hand, whether it was their jewelry or their goat's wool or whatever was around, pieces of wood, and they turned them into the wonderful work of art that was the tabernacle. And the tabernacle was beautiful, and it symbolized the presence of God in their midst. And they made this out of the stuff available to them from people's offerings in the wilderness. So it wasn't as if they could go to the shop and buy the latest thing. They used what they had to make something beautiful, and then that beautiful thing was on display in the camp all the time. Surrounding ourselves with beauty, whatever form that takes, whether it's a macadamia nut, or a painting on a piece of papyrus, or a fancy carved cross, or even just a bottle that's painted, all of that matters because it reminds us that we are created in the image of a God who creates. And it reminds us to focus our attention on things that are good and lovely. And when we put in beauty, what we get out will also be beautiful. So consider your artwork today. Perhaps you've not looked at it properly in a while, because when we hang something on the wall or set it on the shelf, we see it for, days, years, and we maybe don't look at it anymore. It's just there in the background. So today I invite you to really look at a piece of artwork in your house and to soak in the beauty that God gifted someone to make that, and then let that beauty come out in your speech and actions. So that's day 13 of Lent. Until tomorrow, peace be with you.